All right, so next video, next topic, we're going to be talking about value methods, and you'll notice that I'm not using Replit and I'm not using GitHub here. I'm using a different tool. It says Python Tutor, but it's actually a code tracing utility, and you'll notice here I can click on the Java version, and it's great for simple Java programs to visualize execution, which I think will be helpful in this instance. So for example, so we're just going to jump in, but again, it's a great little tool. We know from an earlier part of the pre-work we can have a void method that we send a string into, and it's going to do its thing there, and we can then just have greet Mike. And here we can visualize execution, and this will take a few seconds. It's not the fastest in the world. Sorry, public static void methods. Can't spell. That's better. Visualize execution. And we're just going to close that because that was an error from the previous one, and I know it was a mistake. It's nothing wrong with them. I typed in stuff I shouldn't type in. But if we visualize this, we'll say, look, we are in main in line 9. And then main calls greet. And now in greet, name in greet is Mike. And it does its thing, and it system out print lines, and then it returns, and then we are done. And so we can use this to see what happens. So we could make little routines like, these are going to be contrived routines. So why don't we make, we'll make a routine to show you the next thing. Well, let me get rid of this. Well, this is all about, this section as you read the chapter are about methods that return values, so they're not void. So we might want to write a method called add10. So maybe we'll have an int a, and why don't we have an int b, and we can maybe say, let's start a at 10, or let's start a at 5, and we can say b equals add 10 to a. So we'll make a function, public static, and I'll change this. And now we want this to send back the result. We want to put it into B. So this, we can tell it what it returns. And in this case, we want to return an int because that's the type we want. And we could say something like int result equals a plus 10, and then return the result. So let's see what happens when we visualize this. So notice we are in main at line 10. A is 5. And now we come up to here and notice that we're in add 10 and its parameter A is 5. We're in line 4. That's what this is, line 4. Result gets A plus 10. We return the value, which is the result. And then we come back, that gets put into B. So this lets us communicate into levels. So let's say we write another routine. Let's write a routine. Let's edit this code. Let's write public static int, because and again, you return int, string, double, whatever, any type. And again, this is all covered in the chapter. Why don't we call this add 2 plus 10, and we'll give it an A and a B. And again, this is just totally made up, just to give you examples. And we'll say here, why don't we say number 1 and number 2. And so we'll say here int A equals number 1 plus number 2. And then we'll say int result equals add 10 to A, and then we will return our result. And so maybe here we'll say A is 5, B equals 20, and then we will say maybe something like int result equals add 2 plus 10 of A and B. So if we visualize this execution, unsupported feature, we didn't because these are wrong, because we have to say, which we know from the previous lesson, int number 1, int number 2. But notice I'm not getting frustrated when I have these errors. You just figure them out, you try again. It's normal. It's normal. We all have these issues. And I mistakenly made no number 1 there, wrong variable name. Let's try it again. Again, that was my error, so I'm not going to submit it. So now we will execute. A is 5, B is 20, and now notice in here we have number 1 and number 2. Those are our parameters, but notice we have an A here. This is the important thing. This is a different A. This A belongs to add 2 plus 10, whereas this A belongs to main. So notice that the A in main is not changed. And you normally aren't going to use the same variable names. You're going to use descriptive names. But I did this on purpose because I wanted to show this to you, that every time you call a method, it has its own little environment. It has its own parameters, its own variables. And so here, A is 25 up here has not affected this one here. And now we're going to call add 10, and in add 10 has its own parameter, its result, and notice when it returns its value of 35, it now goes away. All that's gone. So when you call a method, it creates its variables, its parameters, it does its thing, but then it's all gone. And then we'll just continue, calculate its result, we will send it back, it goes here, put it in result, and there you have it. So that's all there is to it. Very straightforward, but this helps with the visualization a lot. So read the chapter, use the Slack, work your way through. We're getting more and more advanced here. And yeah, and that's it for this one.